Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today. Happy Friday, I hope all of you are doing well. Let's get some good vibes going for the weekend. Now before we get into today's very exciting topic, I wanted to go ahead and just briefly, it sounds serious, but like address something, just talk about something real quick. I'd like to say I'm a pretty interactive content creator. I'm always in the comments. I peruse every single time I upload a video. I respond to tweets, and I'm not saying I'm above other creators because I know a lot of them do this, but I like to make sure it's one of the staples of my channel. I'm not really hard to reach out to. And I noticed in yesterday's video, there were a lot more complaints that I was talking about Wastelanders, and I just wanted to make sure people understand one thing. I like to talk about what I enjoy on this channel. I always have, whether it was Final Fantasy VII Remake just about a week and a half ago. Before that, we were talking about Obsidian, Baldur's Gate 3. The list goes on. I like to talk about games I'm interested in, and I've been very blessed that I have an audience, you guys, who shares those interests. And so we're just gonna continue doing that. I wanted to make sure people understood. And what better way to celebrate a Fallout renaissance on this lovely channel than talking about Fallout 3 and New Vegas. I forgot to grab my copy to display it when I brought it up. Hold on. Fallout 3, and I don't have New Vegas with me. It's at the studio. You guys may recall I did a modding video and I sort of left it there. And since we're all in quarantine, I have not been able to get my New Vegas to show you guys it physically. But anyway, I wanted to talk about today bringing these suckers back. Let's establish the framework for this discussion. I am asking for a remaster. A remaster is far different from the age of remakes we are in. A remaster is something you've seen with, for example, the Sly Cooper collection, right? They brought all the Sly Cooper games from PS2 to PS3, touched up the graphics, put them all in one bundle, and it was really nice. Where when you look at a remake like Resident Evil 2, 3, or Final Fantasy VII, which just released, those are from the ground up gigantic project. Also, an important part of this framework here is that I am not minimizing the work that goes into making a remaster. Now, Matty, where did this discussion spawn? Well, over here, you can see a tweet of mine. Please follow me, please validate my existence. But this tweet got a little bit of traction, and it seemed a lot of people were in the same boat with me. We like Wastelanders, and it's reminding us of why we like Fallout. So where is Fallout 3? Where is New Vegas? We're aware, by the way, they are backwards compatible on Xbox. The GOG version of Fallout 3 works well on PC. We have solutions. But then Pete Hines put up another tweet. Look at this. Look at this. I'm pointing at things in my videos now. What excellent presentation. When inquired about why Bethesda hasn't really done any ports or remasters, Pete Hines said, because our teams are really busy working on games and projects, and it's not as easy as you make it sound. Which is entirely true. I want to make sure I don't sound like an ungrateful, entitled gamer. It is hard work, just like anything in the games industry, I'd say. I think it's safe to assume that even if you don't like Fallout 3, right? Like, let's say you were the old school Fallout fans. You played 1, 2, you played 3, and you're like, what is this? It's safe to say that Fallout 3 and New Vegas were two of the most definitive open world RPGs of the Xbox 360 and PS3 generations. They're games that are talked about to this day. They have moments that to this day we still dive into, inspect, analyze, fanboy over, what have you. And while backwards compatibility is great, PlayStation sort of falters in that area. I'm sorry, but PS Now, I will never ever use again. And the cell architecture for the PS3, I understand that's like a whole other landmine that you have to get into for backwards compatibility. And so I understand Sony's solution. I just don't have to like it, you know? But I feel like Fallout 3 and New Vegas are games worthy of celebration, and what better way to celebrate them than to remaster them, touch up the graphics a little bit, make the games run smoother, maybe a couple of quality of life updates. I know this isn't as simple, but imagine Fallout 3 or New Vegas with the shooting from Fallout 4. Not that Fallout 4's shooting is like top tier or anything, but it's still far better than those two games. Now, I know that skills are accounted into Fallout 3 and New Vegas's shooting, so that would require a whole overhaul in its own right. See, it gets deeper. That's why I'm just saying remaster them. But imagine some quality of life updates in there. That would be such a great celebration of how fantastic the Fallout franchise is. And so what pushed me over the top to make this video, what made me go full tilt, as some of the kids like to call it nowadays, is actually that Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, a 1999 Star Wars game, is coming out on the PS4 and the Switch. And I'm sure this is a game that brings back fond memory for some folks, and I'm happy that people had that game. But it just serves to me as an example of, if we can bring back games from 1999, right? This isn't the only example. We see plenty of old games coming back. If we can bring back these old titles, but not like KOTOR, not Fallout 3, I'm not trying to make it sound simple. I'm just wondering what A is the process, but B, why not Fallout 3? Why not New Vegas? These incredibly popular games that would sell gangbusters. I don't want to make that a critical point of my argument. Bethesda is a business. They are probably well aware how much money it would make them. Is the investment of time and work worth the amount of money that would come in? I would personally say on the outside looking in, yeah, because I could see that selling tons, but that's just me. I don't work at Bethesda, and certainly I don't have a degree in business. Quite frankly, I think that the reason Bethesda's hesitant to say remaster just Fallout 3, because New Vegas is a whole other story, right? New Vegas is under Obsidian, they developed it, so you gotta start splitting the revenue. Now New Vegas is owned by Microsoft, so that's a whole other monkey wrench in the situation. I just think there's a lot of complications. In a perfect world, we get Fallout 3 and New Vegas in the same package and we all freak out. I would love nothing more than that. Or like a Fallout 3 Switch release. That would also be incredible. But genuinely speaking, guys, I think that Bethesda's afraid of the domino effect. If they say remaster Fallout 3, the next question will be, where is Oblivion? Where is Morrowind, right? It just keeps going back for them. And I understand why that would be a lot of pressure. You're essentially opening the floodgates and start to feel the pressure to re-release all your old games. But that also does bring about the very fair question, why just Skyrim? Why did Bethesda, of all games to remaster and re-release, choose 2011 Skyrim? Well, number one, this scientific reason is one that'll blow your mind, like yesterday's video. It's Skyrim. That's it. It's Skyrim. Re-releasing Skyrim may have been one of the safest blank checks to cash in at a bank ever. It's one of the most popular open world games. People who don't even like video games played Skyrim. It was a phenomenon and one of the most definitive open world games ever. Just like I think Fallout 3 and New Vegas were personally, but I understand Skyrim was a bit more popular. One thing that a lot of people also do forget is that Skyrim was ported to the Xbox One during Fallout 4's development to test out the creation engine on new technology. So I think a lot of the additional work was done on Skyrim and it was sort of sitting there waiting to be touched up, which they eventually got around to. Well, I personally believe that Fallout 3, for example, doesn't work well on Steam, if at all. It works on GOG just like Oblivion does, and so there are workarounds, but obviously that brings about the problem. Here comes another game launcher into our library of all these other launchers. We'd like to avoid that. And I also understand that modders are trying their best to bring back those older experiences onto the creation engine, but those are more along the lines of remakes, which is more than even I'm asking for currently. Like, I don't think anything's more exciting than an old game coming back for modern gamers who have not experienced, say, Fallout 3 or New Vegas, which I know may sound crazy, but there are younger gamers being introduced to Fallout to see what really spawned some of its initial growth in popularity. And as like veteran fans who have been around for a while, I'd love to see if like Bethesda were to re-release the game. Imagine they add like a couple of quests in, stuff like that would just be so cool, such a treat for returning fans. One thing I forgot to tack on in the initial discussion that I want to add on here is, of course, within the only example we've seen of a Bethesda Game Studios re-release with Skyrim Special Edition was the addition of console modding. And this really helped bolster the life of the game. Not everyone has a PC, not everyone has experienced modding. We can talk all day how PlayStation really got shafted, and Xbox was a bit better. They had access to some nice mods, but it wasn't to the extent of what people had thought of that would be available on PC. But I think it would be really neat if Fallout 3 and New Vegas came back and they actually had Bethesda Net console mods tied in there. It would be interesting to see as someone who's played Fallout on pretty much every console. It would be exciting for fans, as I said earlier, who do not have access to PC or modding that want some brand new content in their games. And naturally, I think that would also mean the inclusion of Creation Club. This is sort of the Bethesda bundle, if you will. I think if they add one, the other is going to naturally follow suit. But then again, with the infrastructure of Fallout 3 New Vegas, what they were built upon, and how that technology works with those older games nowadays, I don't know if that would work, but these are things we could also generally speculate on and possibly expect if they were ever to bring it back. Based off Pete Hines' tweet, it seems like it's not on the table for Bethesda at this point in time, but I just thought, once again, I'd like to just make a video talking about it because it's something that I really want, man. It's like KOTOR remaster slash remake, and then Fallout 3 / New Vegas package for new consoles. I love nothing more than those two to finally happen one day. But that's all I've got to say, guys. I just think we really need to see these games. I want to celebrate them again, and I think I'm not alone on that. Some people just don't even like what Bethesda Game Studios is doing nowadays, which is totally understandable, and they just want to go back to those times, just have access to those games on their current consoles, which I think is certainly fair. But now I pass it off to you. Am I just a whiny Fallout 3 and New Vegas fan? Let me know. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all the patrons who continue to support the content here. We are at a near record high in patrons. Really appreciate you guys building what we're doing here. And I'll talk with all of you soon. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.